So the focus of my workshop was on the metaphor, the night sea journey, as a metaphor for working with children who've experienced trauma. And the emphasis of that was on the practitioner accompanying children on that journey. So the activities were graded. So when practitioners came in, I asked them first to think about a child or a child they know who's experienced trauma and find a way to depict that using image. And then we moved up a level where we got them to start using the neuroscience of trauma, which we learnt about from Louis Cosolino, and also I backed up in this workshop, to be able to apply it to children. Because what I find is a lot of practitioners, they know the theory, they've learnt it, but when it comes to them applying it to particular children, they really struggle. So I wanted to sort of make that link in this workshop, because making links was a big part of this journey. And the other activity I then did was we went into a more self process where I invited participants to, using a metaphor of the Hawaiian bowl of light story, which was taught to me by Joyce Mills, to create their own bowl of light and then think about their journey through life and mark on their timeline any significant traumas that may have happened to them. They don't have to tell me what that is. They don't have to tell anybody else. This is their personal process. And then I invited them to choose a stone for each trauma they'd experienced and put it in their bowl. So they are physically holding their own bowl of light. They actually feel the weight of it and sit with it. But I found that's not enough, because the thing is, trauma, our own personal traumas are often what draws us to the field in the first place, to want to help children. So it has to be transformed. So I then invited them to choose from a selection of objects that I just had lying around, things that represented those stones, and find a way to string them together. And by doing that, we're actually making links neurologically by joining everything together, putting it all in one place and transforming it into something very heavy, into actually something that's quite beautiful. Also, they're things that have been chosen by the people themselves. So they're actually giving a sense of agency to it. Rather than it just being something heavy and awful that happens to you, they're beginning to transform it. We then take that one step further and help them think of the resilience factor and those people or things in their life that help them through those times. Because usually there is something or someone, not always. And for each of those, I asked if they would select something to represent that person. I had a selection of flowers and rather beautiful pebbles and diamonds. They were free again to choose whatever they wanted. And using a piece of clay to find a way to make an image, including all those things, and also of a candle, and a way of finding the light through the darkness. As the night sea journey itself is a very dark journey. But my emphasis is also on the light at the tunnel, because that is essentially what we're asking people to do with children, is to help them find their way through the night back towards the light again. The night journey was an important metaphor for me. It's one I've often used in relation to trauma, because trauma is the dark night of the soul. There is no escaping that. So a lot of people, I think, do get quite nervous, I think, sometimes around the fact that I often use very, very dark metaphors, and they feel uncomfortable with that. When I feel really what they're experiencing is the uncomfortableness of having to sit with that trauma and either imagine it from someone else's perspective or from their own, because often I find when people are uncomfortable, it's something within themselves that they're running away from. And the night sea journey has been a metaphor used throughout literature to describe a traumatic journey in a way. So Jonah and the whale being one of the most obvious examples. It's also the Odyssey. And I think for me, the night sea journey is that you actually go through the darkness to be able to come out the other side. And people might go through many night sea journeys in their lifetime. I don't believe that it's something that you just go through once. So that's why I chose that metaphor. There is no escaping. I mean, my argument is that a lot of people, adults who have experienced childhood trauma, you just find a way to live with it. You make creative adaptations to survive, and you find a way to live with it. And our role as play therapists is to be able to help a child to find their agency on that journey, to be able to do that. In terms of completely changing a child so that will never happen, that can't happen. So for me, the night sea journey is an apt metaphor, if not a comfortable one. I think that this way of working is very holistic for children, most importantly because it is child-centred, or in my workshop it was led by the practitioners. I guided them through that process, but they took it where they wanted it to go. So in that, it is very holistic. And the theory derives from a Jungian theory, and Jungian theory is absolutely rooted in spirituality. So I genuinely believe that this is soul work.